Mark Santiago here, and welcome to the Empowered AF podcast, where each episode we share powerful strategies to help you communicate, act, and lead like an empowered man. Thanks for joining me. I'm calling this the power of presence. So I'm going to talk about two different types of presence and really the power of it. And if I can get to it, kind of some of the steps to get there. So the more connected you are with your authenticity, the greater the weight of your presence when you enter a room or any situation. Weighty presence equals great influence. Influence creates strength in the mind of those around you. There's a lot. There's a lot to that. And we can try to unpack it. We'll do our best in 10 minutes. I like some of these: in the now, being connected to the moment, presence, fully engaged, to be seen and known by those who are with you. So when we lack presence, here's what happens. People lack trust in us. We don't trust ourselves. We shrink back and play small, or we overplay our cards. So think about times where you are lacking presence. Like right now, think about a moment. It could be at your job. It could be with your kids. It could be with your spouse. It could be all of these different, places, right? The fact is you can be physically present, but you may not have a presence, right? The spiritually, emotional, all of those things come together, right? So again, the more connected you are to your authenticity, the greater the weight of your presence. Kevin's saying, in politics, presence is integral. Building trust in a room to gain votes and such. If you aren't present, you aren't earning. Totally true. I mean, you look at how, President Trump won. He had a presence. How President Biden won, he had a collective presence. I would say any politician knows that they have to enter a room with presence. How we show up today and our presence will affect the quality of our futures. Not living in the past, controlling what I can control, being there for myself. Love it. So thinking about where you lack presence, what is one area you are lacking presence right now? What is one area you are lacking presence? And that is what we're talking about, is the weighty presence. Myself, that's a good one. That's a really good one. What else? Holding my boundaries, okay? So again, for yourself. Structure, again, for yourself. These are interesting. What else we got? There's like 20 something of you guys. Promise I make to myself. Again, sounds like we're having a struggle with presence with ourselves. So a lot of you guys are dealing with presence with yourself, which is very interesting. Myself and detached from my past. This is good. So here's two different types of presence that I've seen in most men. Here's what I call the dominating presence. This is when you are the top dog and you know it. At work, with your kids, your wife, whatever. A dominating presence. Has anybody ever seen someone with a dominating presence? Have you ever been the guy with the dominating presence? Exactly. Every one of us. And that is what I would call a weak presence. A weak presence. Because if we show up in a dominating presence, what we're doing is we're showing our fig leaf. We're showing that we're actually insecure. So a dominating presence is when you literally are overbearing, you're overplaying your cards, you're trying to prove something in your presence. Now again, presence has nothing to do with the words you speak as much as the presence you have behind it. So if you enter a room, you enter a situation, you're with yourself. If you're coming at it from a dominating presence, that should be a red light. Something should be going off. A trigger warning should be going off in your mind that says, I feel insecure. So a dominating presence is unhealthy for obvious reasons, right? Because a dominating presence shows a disempowered man. And this program is about empowerment, not disempowerment. So here's the difference. A powerful presence is all about building trust in leadership for the benefit of everyone in relation with you. A powerful presence is all about building trust and leadership for the benefit of everyone in relation with you, and that includes yourself. If you have A powerful presence, it says you can be trusted, it says you are authentic, and it says you are powerful. Powerful presence, powerful presence. So there's actually, and we don't have time to get into the mental models around this, but there's literally, and I've walked guys through this in coaching. If you think about the situations you are with yourself where you're not powerfully present, you can do some visioneering exercises around that, to where you start to imagine and vision yourself being powerfully present with yourself, being powerfully present with other people, and where you find yourself trying to be dominating in your presence, to switch the gears and to be more of a powerful presence. So I'll try to give you guys some examples. So dominating presence might come from, for example, if you're in a business situation and you come into a meeting and you want something to go a certain way, and so you assert your will and you try to dominate the other person, as opposed to being secure and being powerful in your presence. The difference could actually make or break the deal. If you ever try to dominate an employee, it can come back to bite your ass. Why? Because they feel that. They know that you're an insecure motherfucker. And I want every man, that's empowered man is for every man. I want every man to walk in such a level of empowerment where you don't feel like you have to dominate other people. Like if your teenager gives you lip, you don't have to dominate him. If your wife gives you a side look, you don't have to dominate her. But you can be in a powerful present situation. So this powerful presence is, again, the more connected you are with your authenticity, the greater the weight of your presence when you enter a room or situation. Weighty presence equals great influence. Influence creates strength in the mind of those around you. Even in this training, I don't have to dominate you with this stuff. I don't have to go, you guys need to understand it. I'm just showing up and saying, these are my notes. These are my thoughts. I'm going to articulate it in the best way possible so that you understand it and that you can be powerful in that. Yeah, and anybody that's in corporate sees this all the time. There are bosses and there are leaders. I would much rather be a leader. And there's times when a leader has to be more powerful in his presence, but not dominating. So let me just give you a few ideas, some practical stuff on like how to get there, right? So wherever you're struggling right now with the dominating presence and you're not walking in powerful presence, the first thing is you've got to connect with your authenticity. You have to connect with your authenticity. So who are you authentically? If you can't answer that, you're going to struggle, because everything you do comes from that place. If you notice that when you're acting in a dominating presence, you're usually out of alignment with yourself. There's usually something that doesn't feel right with you. There's usually something where you have to overcompensate. And so therefore, instead of being authentic, you become inauthentic, you become disempowered. Does everybody see that? It's huge. So the first thing is you have to connect to the authenticity. How do you connect to the authenticity? This takes time. This is a process. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and go, okay, now I'm authentic. What I would say to do from a practical standpoint is to really get to the place where you feel the most peace. Like, ask yourself that question: when and where do I feel the most peace in my life? So for example, let's say I'm having a coffee with a guy and we're talking about life. I feel authentic there. I'm being vulnerable. I'm being myself. That's authentically Mark. So guess what? I can take that scenario and bring it into my business so that when I have to discipline an employee, not that I'm going to treat him like the coffee buddy, but I can go into it with the same peace. This is key. Guys, if you can get this, this will be huge. But I can go into the conversation with the same peace and presence I felt from having a coffee situation now to an employee situation where I go, hey, we've got some things we've got to work on. Here's some adjustments that need to be made. Joey and I had a conversation in Newport Beach last week about some things that needed to change on our team. And it was quick one-on-one. sitting outside of my porch across from the beach. But it didn't feel like it was like discipline. It didn't feel like it was anything like that. It was like, hey, here's some things I'm noticing that we need to work on. And that's not calling him out. That's just how we authentically live in terms of our business and how we run our company. Because you guys have to know that we are doing things the same way. The way we are treating you, the way we talk to you is the same way we are inside, because we live authentically. This shit could not work. We could not be successful if we were not authentic in what we do. And so we know how authentic we are, and we bring that same authenticity. The same way Joey shows up for these calls, you guys see him on these calls all the time. That is who he is in person. The same way you see me yelling a video or being in these coaching calls is the same way as I'm in a person. The only difference is I'm probably a little more funny and happy than I am in here. But this is because we deal with some hard shit, and it has to be this way sometimes. Okay, so connected authenticity. The second thing, learn how to be present in your body. This is huge. It's mindfulness. It's funny, growing up spiritual, Christian, whatever, like I always thought that was like weird, Buddhism, mindfulness, like whatever. Like the fact of the matter is just knowing what's happening in you physiologically is fucking huge. It's huge. And you can't walk into a situation. I don't care if it's with your wife, your kid, your boss, your employees, you through the mall. I don't care where it is. If you can't walk into that situation, you're not mindful of what you were feeling and what is present in you. If you are not taking account of those things, you will fuck up. You'll say the wrong thing. You'll be stupid. You'll respond in ways that aren't unhealthy, especially if you get triggered emotionally or if something starts to happen and you start finding yourself going recluse. Like Tony was saying, I'm an introvert and an observer. Okay. Well, maybe that means in some situations he has to be a little less introverted and a little bit more present, depending upon the situation. It doesn't mean he has to always come out. Like my son's a very introverted child, but I do have him come out of his room and interact with other people, because it's not healthy for him to just constantly be a recluse. And that's part of him developing his own presence. There is power in that. The third thing, I know you guys are like, it's 11:03. Develop your influence, which means this. It says, I care about you. It says, I care about you. Developing your influence is huge. Leadership, John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. But leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Think about that. The more you can develop your influence with people, the more powerfully present you are with them, the greater your leadership with them. Guys, this is not a long training. This is not like 100 things to do, but there is some serious power in this. If you can show up, you don't have to say a damn word to be powerfully present. You can be an introvert, but be authentic with yourself and carry a greater presence. That weighty presence becomes influence. That influence creates strength in the mind of those around you. So imagine with me that any situation you walk into, whether it's at home with your wife, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your boss, with your spouse, with your friends, and you walk in there like, I'm authentic. I know who the fuck I am. I'm at peace with myself. I'm present in my body. I know what I feel. I'm having a rough day. I know I'm feeling it. If someone's asking me, yeah, man, I'm not feeling so good today. I'm having a rough time at home right now and I'm dealing with it. I'm working through it. I'm working with some guys on it. That's powerful. And that creates influence because you're saying to the other person, I care about you enough to share that I'm not having a good day. Or whatever is happening. It could be the good. It could be the positive. It could be you, looking to your kid and saying, hey, I noticed that you're really doing well on cleaning your room. I appreciate that. That builds influence. Or it goes to your wife or your kid and you go, man, I really fucked up. I did not, I wasn't present with my emotions. I yelled at you. I screamed at you. I hung up on you or whatever. And this is what it is. I'll give you a case point from this weekend. My ex-wife calls me up, starts accusing me of ruining her weekend with my kids because it's her July 4th weekend. She's about 5 to 10 seconds into the conversation, and I hung up the phone. I just hung up on her. And I was like, man, that just felt really fucking good. And not because I'm trying to be an asshole, but it was because the way she approached me was not in alignment with who I am as a man. And she was triggered completely. And our relationship was super toxic. And it was very much like she would scream at me, yell at me, all those things. And I would just take it, and I would take it, I would take it. And it would cause all kinds of negative. As soon as I hung up, I texted her. I said, hey, I'd love to chat with you, but I couldn't get a word out edgewise. And there was no point in having a conversation until you're ready to actually chat with me. 5 minutes later, I call her back. So you ready to talk? She said, yeah. And then I used the power triangle. Hey, what I hear you saying is blah, 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 this, that, the other. Was she still triggered? Yeah, to some degree. We had the conversation. I ended up actually getting my kids for 4th of July, even though I didn't think I was going to. And it all worked because I walk in a powerful presence now that she knows she can't fucking shake. Funny enough, my fiance is sitting next to me and she calls me babe. The ex did. The ex called me babe. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? Anyways, case in point, the powerful presence you have. Every single man on this call is powerful. Receive that today. You are powerful. You are powerful beyond measure. I believe there's an enemy that hates you and doesn't want you to know that, but you are powerful beyond measure. And it would, if I was the bad guy in your life, if I was the villain, if I was the devil, if I was the whatever, I would want you to believe that you're not powerful, because then I'd be scared of the works you're going to do. I would be scared of the fact that you're going to actually raise your kids in a healthy way. I'd be scared of the fact that you're actually going to be an amazing, honest, a humble guy. I'd be scared of the fact that you're going to change lives, that you're going to help other men going through what they're going through. I would be scared of that if I was the enemy, the villain, the devil, the whatever you want to call him on that side of things. You guys are powerful. And it is your lot in life. It is your choice, but it's also your destiny if you choose to walk in powerful presence. And that's my hope for you this week, is that you would take that you would connect with yourself authentically, in authenticity, learn how to be present in your body this week, develop your influence. I want you guys to try that. Who's with me trying that this week? Either raise your hand or put in the chat. I'm doing that this week. I'm going to walk in powerful presence, and I want to hear about it. I won't be on next week. I'll be on the week after, but I want to hear about it from Joey. Post it in the group. Let us know. Oh yeah. Did we do the me thing? I'll teach you guys this. So, you know how we have the she button, right? We go, we're not here to hit the she button. Everybody remember that? So go, instead of hitting the she button, we go, I'm hitting the me button. So everybody do that with me. I'm hitting the me button. One more time. I'm hitting the me button. And what does that do? That means I am in control. I am taking charge of me. And I'm not blaming shit on her. I'm not blaming it on anyone else. I am walking in a powerful presence today because I decide to be an overcomer. I decide that I am going to be more than a conqueror. I decide that I'm going to live victoriously because that's who I am. Hey, this is Mark Santiago, CEO and founder of Empowered Man. I want to thank you for listening to today's podcast. However, before you go, I want to give you a special invitation. Now listen, we've got a program that is designed specifically for men who are hurting right now, who are on the verge potentially of divorce, who are facing potential separation or already separated, and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. They're dealing with anxiety. They're dealing with cheating. They're dealing with all kinds of shit. If that's you, I want to challenge you to take the Empowered Man 30-Day Challenge. That's right, the Empowered Man 30-Day Challenge. You can go to emchallenge.com right now and sign up for the 30-Day Challenge. Here's why I think you should do that. If you're hurting, you need to understand why you're hurting. You need to understand what is actually going on. In week 1 of the challenge, we are going to actually rip off that Band-Aid a little bit and coach you through that process. And then we continue to do that process all the way to the point where you start to make decisions that are empowered instead of disempowered. I don't know about you, but I would much, much, much rather make decisions from a place of strength than a place of weakness. So if you're facing decisions, if you're facing this anxiety, what do I do? How do I respond? When my wife is being toxic, I don't know what to do. My wife is cheating on me. I don't know what to do. My wife doesn't love me. I don't know what to do. We are going to help you find those answers within. Now, look, this 30-day challenge is probably unlike any other you've been a part of. Why? Because not only do we have daily assignments happening in the program every single day, but you also get live group coaching calls. I said live group coaching calls with myself and my lead coach. That's right. I am a part of this. It's not just some other people doing it. I am there live with you every single week call that we are on. Third part of that is you're going to have a community of other guys that are going through exactly what you are going through. And the best part of this isn't even a fraction of the price we could charge for it. In fact, at some point we may raise the price, but right now it is at a bargain. So go to emchallenge.com, emchallenge.com to take the Empowered Man 30-day challenge, and I will see you on the inside.